we're going to go from one damn good guest to another damn good guest. Man himself, Michael Maloof. Maloof is a former senior security policy analyst in the Office of Secretary of Defense, author, regular contributing analyst on RT and other media outlets. He has nearly 30 years in the federal service and the U.S. Department of Defense. How you doing, my man? You doing okay today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Bit under the weather, but I'm okay. I'm plugging along.
Get over it. Get over it.
I'm trying. I'm trying to not even acknowledge that it exists. That's where I'm at, right?
Good. Be strong.
Give me your take on what is going on with Trump right now. And to be specific, Trump was in office, apparently is not releasing anything on Epstein. I find that to be a betrayal. And people are completely confused as to why Trump is not releasing anything on Epstein. We're bewildered by why he's not releasing anything on Epstein. We are completely in the dark on why he's not releasing anything on
Epstein. Well, there's just nothing there,
Right. And then you get this back and forth on the issue of Ukraine, where Donald Trump is caught on CNN saying, where is it? Saying this. He's saying this. Man of peace. He's holding a dove and a rose in one hand and the other.
Putin, I said, if you go in to Ukraine, you'll bomb out of Moscow. I'm telling you, I have no choice. The public wants it. The public. So he goes like, I don't believe you. I said, he said, no way. And I said, way. And then he goes like, I don't believe you. But the truth is, he believed me 10%. And I told you this, he believed me 10%. Then I'm with President Xi of China. But I said the same thing to them. I said, if you go into Taiwan, I'm going to bomb Beijing.
So he is telling Putin, and I love, he says, Putin says, no way. He says, I say, way. No way, way. And he says, you only need to believe him 10%. And 10% is enough to prevent them from doing stuff. This is nonsense, right?
Well, it's just his bombastic way. We've seen that. I mean, when he first started negotiating with Kim Jong-un, if you recall, it was Rocket Man. I mean, my nuclear button is bigger than yours. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all bombastic. It's irresponsible. We don't normally associate heads of state talking that way, but this is quite an unconventional guy, and I think people have come to accept that he shoots from the hip, and it's ready fire aim in his case, but in the end, it's to seek leverage and gain a negotiating position so that they can come to terms. At least he throws something out. You throw something against the wall, you see what sticks.
I'm glad you said that. So this is same Donald Trump.
He hasn't changed.
Same Donald Trump right here. And listen to what he says about Putin.
It's very nice. That was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. So you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
What's wild about that is that Trump is the one that is spewing bullshit. Putin has been consistent all the way through in regards to what he wants and his expectations. He's said it over and over. He's made speeches about it. And the entirety of the Russian government has been on the same page. And for whatever reason, Trump believes that whatever rando deal that he comes up with, despite the fact that, just to point something else out, he has no cards. So Russia has been yesterday fired 700 drones. The day before that, 500. The day before that, 500. And they're producing enough to do that every day going forward. Combine that with this fact of reality, which is the reason why Trump stopped sending weapons in the first place. The U.S. only has 25% of the Patriot missiles intercepted needed for Pentagon's military plans. So how is the United States going to affect any will at all on the issue of Ukraine, considering Russia is producing enough drones and missiles to have just ungodly numbers flying every day, hitting targets all over the place. And the US doesn't have the interceptors necessary. And even if they did, in no way could stand a match for that many drones in the air at once.
Well, once again, Trump is sounding bombastic, but frankly, Putin is speaking in the case of Ukraine from a position of strength.
Yeah. Yeah, but can the U.S. Oh, I think you're frozen. I still there, Mike. I still there. Still there. Come back to me. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come back. They are. Repeat that for me. You're frozen for a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said that Trump is being his bombastic self, but Putin is speaking from a position of strength. He knows that U.S. stockpiles are limited. The allies certainly cannot mount a consistent offensive against him to supply Ukraine. So all he has to do is wait them out, and that's what he's doing. It's that death by 1,000 cuts routine, and now he's beginning to put on the pressure, increasing pressure. That is, Putin's beginning to put on the pressure more and more and more, as long as the Ukrainians are continuing to resist. What I noted the other night on RT, for example, was that Trump was once again saying just what he said about Putin, but what Putin needs to do is get on that secure line directly and speak to Trump directly and just inform him that the hundreds of drones going toward Kyiv was in response to the attacks that Kyiv made on civilians just at a beach site here the other day. And Trump's not getting that information. It's clear because it's not convenient for his intelligence community to advise him of that side of the story. They're very Ukraine oriented, and as I've pointed out repeatedly, that this will continue. You've got the CIA, UK, MI6, and the Israeli Mossad joined at the hip to help the Ukrainians in this endeavor, and that's why you see Russia reacting the way they are toward the entire West now, and I also think the relationship with Israel is going to begin to sour here very soon, if it hasn't already begun, because of that.
Whose relationship? You mean Russia's or the U.S.'s?
Russia's relationship with Israel.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to sour, and more and more because of this assistance that's being given to Ukraine by the Israelis. They saw the pattern. They saw the pattern of the attacks into Iran by the Mossad and how they were imaged into Ukraine, and it was identical. Bringing things in all electronically devised and automatic, and the Ukrainians don't have that sophistication. They needed outside help. They needed also the targeting. And they needed the deceptions, and that's what CIA, MI6, and Mossad gave to them.
It's also that's super interesting to me, because from my point of view, God, okay, I want to go in two areas. One, from my point of view, and I want to get your take on it, Russia's pursuing its aims to win the war and pursue unconditional surrender because it realized that it has no partner in the United States in regards to trying to end and close the war. That in the very beginning, they might have been open to having some kind of deal. But when it became clear that what a US president had no capability of making an actual deal that the Russians were willing to accept, because a US president can't accept that they've lost in Ukraine. And so what Russia's been doing hasn't been responding to this or that. They've been pursuing a strategic plan to win it, with the drone swarms now being this means to decimate Ukrainian military's capability on the front lines and behind the front lines, and pretty much hitting anything that they want to hit because they have so much production. Give me your take on that, because it sounds like what you think is that, from your point of view, Russia is responding. I don't think Russia is responding at all. I think they're pursuing an objective.
Well, the agenda that Russia has, as I see it, is to force Ukraine to the table. But they're getting that continuing to get the Western assistance, and Ukraine continues to use the equipment and wage the conflict, knowing that they're not going to win anything. They're not going to regain their lost territories, yet they continue fighting. And for what reason? So what Putin has been doing he doesn't want to take over Ukraine, although in the end, he may have to set up a buffer, to protect the Federation itself from attacks. But that's going to be hard to manage and to police if he were able to do so, or even wanted to do so. But the reality is that he has been his drone swarms have been in response to attacks, and then they stop, and then you see the Ukrainians doing it again. Every time he stops, it's like there's a ceasefire, a mini ceasefire, but yet Ukraine continues the conflict. So he's just going to double down. He's just doubling down every single day, increasing that pressure, retaking more and more territory, which is costing the Ukrainians more and more as they plod along. And the question is, to what end? It's not going to be a good ending for the Ukrainians and the United States. And this is where in the United States you have MAGA so split up right now because of this. They don't want continuous war, but yet Trump has become taken over by the not only the military industrial people, but also the neocons that surround him, his contributors. And that's certainly the case with Israel. And it just given the fact that the neocons have him in their vice now, is something that we're right back to where we were with Trump 1, and this is not a good development.
But you don't think this is the issue of an American president being an American president? Like, there's a certain amount of hubris, a certain amount of I am master of the universe built into him, and it is hard to. It takes a very strong person to be able to pull away from that, and Trump's ego is out of control in general.
Well, there's that, but also there are constraints placed upon him. He can only do so much. I mean, you can be a leader. What?
What are the constraints?
The restraints will be whoever his major contributors are. Look, he's already in the case of Israel, for example, he has vowed to take back to recognize the West Bank as part of Israel. Why? Well, not just because Netanyahu would like that, but Marian Adelson, a major contributor, insisted on it.
Yeah.
And he continues to need that support. And now you have the top guy who has been involved in killing so many thousands upon thousands of Palestinians, having the audacity to offer Trump's name for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
I mean, it's so totally bizarre. I can't get beyond that. It's just that image. Here you have the guy that seeks to kill off an entire group of people, offering another killer to be the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, there's something diabolical about that. I mean, you wonder what universe are we living in?
I mean, a lot of this stuff is farce. I mean,
What's crazy, but it's real in their minds. You see, this is
do you really think it's real in their minds? Like, do you think
they're playing their game? They're at another level, and you know they're disregarding the realities on the ground. They are in their own orbit, and they are totally ignoring what the will of the people of the United States wanted. And
3 a.m. between him and his God, do you really think Netanyahu doesn't know he's committing a genocide?
He is. I don't think he cares. It's his. He has convinced himself about his messianic, his messianic way of conducting himself to justify the killings and the genocide that he's been committing.
Yeah.
And it's the only way he can justify what he's doing. God wills it. Okay, if God wills it, let's do it. You Crusaders used to say that before they raid the caravans, you know?
No. I think he
If
looks
God
at it
wills
as,
it, let's go. We're good to go.
if he can create his greater Israel, then in 100
That's
years, all of this doesn't matter. Kind of like in the U.S. It's like, well, we've murdered all the Native Americans.
It's the ends justify the means, rather than the means justifying the ends.
You pointed out, you say you believe the Russian relationship with Israel is going to spoil. That for all intents and purposes, could spoil.
Yeah. You see, Putin, though, does have some leverage over Netanyahu, even though years back they had a personal relationship, and they probably still do to a point, but that may have soured somewhat because of what's been going on. But the leverage that Putin has is that he still has a lot of Russian Jews who would probably like to immigrate to Israel. So that's something he holds over Netanyahu. And so that's why that relationship remains, and he doesn't want to bust that up.
But Russia has to also know that Israel is just a platform for the U.S. And whether it was in Syria, whether it's in Iran, all of these countries that Russia had a relationship with, Israel is doing everything in their power to destroy. I mean, they were backing ISIS in Syria. Russia has to know that these things are contrary to its own interests.
Well, Trump just took off the terror list one of the top Al Qaeda guys who now happens to be a leader of Syria. That's my
yes, Sajulani.
So yeah, it goes on. We created Al Qaeda basically, and they've always been and along with ISIS, have always tended to be an instrument of the Israelis. They have. I mean, there are instances during the Syrian civil war where wounded ISIS members would go into Israel for medical care.
Yes,
that's documented.
Yes,
that's documented. So I mean, they are instruments, and the same into Iran. You had you had attacks in Iran by ISIS elements who had blended in with the local Sunni tribes and attacked the Iranians, and there were some attacks on and in fact there was one attack during a very prominent ceremony, I believe, commemorating the death of Soleimani, in which there was an outright attack just by this group. So you have ISIS elements as well as the MEK. That's always been anti-Iranian regime. So and Israel has plugged into that.
I want to ask you something else, because I've been somewhat fascinated by it. Ever since the 12-day war, it seems like Hamas is more effective, weirdly enough. And so is Ansar Allah. Ansar Allah just sunk 2 ships and made a bunch of promo videos after sinking the ships. It's the funniest thing in the world to me.
It's a recruiting video.
Yeah, it's the wildest. It's like they're running around with guns, and then the ship, sinks. And then in the other one, they blow up the ship. They seem to have gotten far more effective at doing that. And so has Hamas. The death toll for Israelis have seemed to have spiked over the course of the last month, especially after the war. And I guess from your take, do you think that those things are related to one another?
Well, it's all related. Of course, everything is related. There's nothing acting independently. It's the continuous pressure here or there. It's war by attrition. It's what we're seeing. When one side is stopped for now, the other side another element kicks in just to keep up the pressures. And we're going to see it continuous. It'll be a continuous thing. And again, it's something that we remarked before, but the Israelis are totally silent on any damage that's occurring to their facilities because they don't want to have the publicity, the extent of the damage that both Iran and what these ballistic missiles from the Ansar Allah is doing to Israel itself. But it's happening. And I think a lot of that is also to cover up what's going on internally inside of Israel right now. And that is the potential for another civil war, because you now have the ultra-Orthodox that are beginning to rise up against being drafted, and they're fighting it. And so it's creating a real schism within a real separation within the country itself. And then you have the issue of the settlers versus any of the Palestinians or even the IDF. I mean, these are radicalized, armed people, and they have been known to have battles with the IDF itself. So we're going to be seeing we're going to probably see an increase in that.
Why do you think Netanyahu is in the D.C.? Some people say that he's there in order to try to convince Trump to back a war with Iran, which is mind-blowing to me. Because, look, they can try to sell all they want that they won that war. But the reality of it is, as I keep pointing out, the purpose of a war is not to kill people, not typically. Killing people is a means to an end. It's not the objective in the conflict. And Donald Trump had to get involved in order to protect Israel in this case, where effectively Israel's economy was coming apart. They were out of weapons. All of those things were effectively taking place. They couldn't keep going. Iran could have kept going. Iran stopped because #reasons. But I guess my thing is, why is he here? Is he really here in order to push Trump to back his war with Iran again? Is he here for some other reason in regards to strategize on how to go after Lebanon, strategize how to screw over the Palestinians? Why is he here?
I think his goal is regime change in Iran. He's under pressure, internal pressure, to do just that. And that's my read on what he's trying to do. He's trying to lay the foundation for the next stage. And he needs Trump to go along with it. And the fact that there's even a consideration of selling B-2s to Israel, what does that tell you? And you haven't heard a denial from Trump yet. He hasn't poo-pooed that. And yet, and we're hearing too that Israel wants to take back Tripoli in northern Lebanon, which is part of Syria, in addition to wanting the southern part of Lebanon. I mean, this is all part of the greater Israel concept. So that's why you see the Israelis bombing right now inside of Syria for that very reason.
Just be clear, Tripoli is part of Libya.
Well, there's also a Tripoli in Lebanon, in northern Lebanon.
Oh, okay.
It's Sunni controlled. Yeah, there's a Tripoli in Libya. I agree with you, but there's also a Tripoli in Lebanon. Northern. Yeah, it's under Sunni control.
There's nothing to stop him. I mean, the Lebanese government.
Well, the Lebanese can't do it. No, of course not.
Yeah.
But the only way they can stop him is try to persuade the United States to tell him to tone it down. But Trump is a virtual puppet of Netanyahu today. He has turned into the puppet, and for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is the deep state connection. As I said earlier, you have CIA, MI6, Mossad joined at the hip. On the one hand, you have the Israeli lobby, you have the defense lobby, and also the contributors, the Jewish contributors to the campaign. Marion Adelson is a prime example of that. So Trump is not his own person when it comes to Israel.
Has that surprised you?
No, no. Every president succumbs to that because they have to do the bidding of their contributors.
Do they?
Yeah.
I mean, Trump is Trump is nearly 80 years old. Trump may be dead and in the ground in a few years. What is the constraint?
Yeah, but he's thinking ahead. He's thinking about Trump International. He's thinking about his sons. So he's going to do things. And the question also he wants to push the whole Abraham Accords. This is his scheme. But for example, will the Saudis go along with it? I've been talking to a few other folks, and they think like I do that Saudi Arabia is not going to come around because they haven't agreed. The Israelis have not agreed to a two-state solution, and that's why you may see the Saudis hedge when it comes to appeals from Trump to do the same thing. I think in the weeks and months to come, you're going to see the Gulf Arab states, particularly and including Saudi Arabia, are not going to go with the Abraham Accords, which is what Netanyahu really wants. And he needs that for stability in the region on the one hand, but he also needs it to show strength in his own country and to put down any opposition that he might have. But I think that opposition is growing more and more.
I mean, Trump's I think he's calling it Abraham Shield now, effectively ethnically cleanses Gaza. I mean, they have come to the conclusion where Netanyahu is saying, well, we're just pushing, we're letting people leave. They don't have to leave. They can stay here and die.
Well, when you're being shot at, even when you try to get food, you can't get the food. But when you do get whatever is there, you're getting shot at, and then you're forced to move from one location to another every day. You sort of get the message, don't you?
Well, Netanyahu that says that's encouragement. That's not forcing people out.
It might be an encouragement, but you have Ben Gvir and Smotrich saying take them all out. Let God sort them out. I mean,
I guess that's kind of a point, though. But that's part of the Abraham Shield that Donald Trump is kind of pushing, and Trump and
he's
Netanyahu
bought into it. But who's gonna, who's strong enough to stand up to that? You can have all the international organizations condemning it, but they're feckless. They're useless. We are losing the international. Look at the broader thing. The mechanisms that we set up to prevent war have become meaningless.
Yes,
we're in a free fall right now when it comes to what mechanisms do we have to stop the war that we're seeing, the genocide that we're seeing. Look, the Israelis just this morning killed another 47 Palestinians. All they wanted to do is get food. Who's stopping that?
They've been doing
I can't stop it.
100 a day. That's what they've been tracking, 100 a day, and said to themselves, "Hey, isn't it great that we've gotten the world to accept 100 dead people per day?"
You become numb to that over time. But those are lives. Those are, like individual lives, like you and me, and the viewers. And if that's the way that it's just like you take the spray can of Raid and knock out a whole ant's nest. That's basically what it. And you don't think about it. It becomes impersonal as a consequence. And that's the mindset you're seeing today with the leadership in Israel, the United States.
I nurse my rage with the hopes that at some point Israel will pay for this at some point. They will pay for it.
I don't know who's going to be in charge of the new international order, because you're going to need something like that. That's why you're seeing the creation of this multipolar world order. People want a different. They want to change, and they want something that's different than what's been going on, because they haven't been. The Western institutions have not been responsive to the needs of the developing nations. And now we see that they control the money system, they control and they use it. They have weaponized the money system and the dollar, and you see what Trump has been advocating now and putting tariffs against members of BRICS automatically. I mean, they're going to come along anyway in spite of that.
Backfire.
Yeah,
Oh,
they'll just trade among themselves. They just won't trade with the United States. It's
Michael
fine.
Maloof. Always appreciate you, man. Michael Maloof, former senior security policy analyst in the Office of Secretary of Defense, author, regular contributing analyst to RT and other media outlets. He has nearly 30 years of federal service in the U.S. Department of Defense. Michael, you have a fantastic day, man. Thank you for this.
You too. Thank you.
Have a good one. Be safe. All right, Michael Maloof, always appreciate him. Always appreciate his point of view. I love pushing back and having a tug of war with